So, Carrie, can you explain this a little bit more for me? Because we were down in Schnucks, in St. Louis, and they've deployed GS1 barcodes, which is still kind of something that's relatively new. How do the retailers and CPGs need to kind of be making sense of all this and understand like whose responsibility it is to tag this? Because they were really putting GS1 barcodes on their own products in stores, so like bakery goods, meats, seafood, that kind of thing. Like, how do we start to take this to the next level when you come to, manufacturers and working with retailers to do this?
That's a great question and observation. What we're starting to see now is more of the retailers are using their own brands on products. So we're also seeing this kind of outside of the CPG space. We're also seeing Puma and
Okay.
Patagonia are moving forward with this as
Hmm.
well, for more product traceability. Really, there's responsibility on the brand and on the retailer. So on the retailer end, it's making sure, I know I mentioned making sure people have the right scanners. So do you have the right equipment in place? And then your back end system, are you actually decoding that information? So when you make
Okay.
that scan, what data are you pulling out? Where are you putting it in your system? And then, are you using it for price lookup? Are you using it to go in and see, am I checking this maybe against a recall file or a date file? So that's where the retailer has a lot more control right now on their own brand
Okay.
products. So bakery,
Mm.
meat, deli, those types of areas where they have a lot of control on those systems. On the brand side right now, where GS1 hasn't aligned with the industry yet, is what is the mandatory minimum set of attributes that are
Hmm.
going to be in that barcode? So what should a retailer expect to receive when they scan the barcode? What should a
Got it.
consumer expect to receive when they scan the barcode? So we're seeing a wide variety today of maybe putting a date in, maybe putting a batch of lot code in, depending on how fast the packaging line is running and the print speeds. Also seeing things, I know Procter and Gamble and L'Oreal and Unilever are moving on this, and I'm sure Ayub has more examples where they're putting in information about, how to register your warranty. So maybe there's serial numbers on a more expensive razor product, or
Sure.
information that takes you to a web page on something that's a health and beauty item that you want to know more about the ingredients because you're putting that, on your skin directly.
And Carrie, how far away are we, do you think? I mean, and maybe the answer is no, or you have an idea here or not. I don't know. But how far are we from the industry, quote unquote, getting to the point where we kind of align on what those standard definitions are?
Well, we're working globally against an initiative that we call Sunrise 2027, which
Okay.
really is to say by 2027, every retailer should be able to scan 2D barcodes. And so that really is looking at the retailer equipment. We're seeing that the brands are starting to roll these out. Even now I gave some examples already of brands that are starting to move forward with this. So definitely not waiting until 2027 to make this happen. And the retailers are trying to figure out how to move faster as well. I think some of the, what is the minimum number of attributes that will be encoded or what are the things I'm expecting will continue to evolve based on what we all as consumers want and need, what regulatory landscape may say is required at time of checkout, and what retailers are looking for to offer their consumers as a value-added service to differentiate them from a different retailer.
And is grocery still the hotbed of where this is going to happen too? Like similar to the history lesson? Like, yeah, it seems like it would be. And particularly the use case that always comes up for us is the food safety use case, right? Especially with the new food safety requirements that have been coming out, as well. And for those listening, like the easiest use case that Anna and I always talk about is like, you can know what food is expiring. And so if there's a food safety risk on a particular product, like you mentioned, milk, eggs, probably chicken is a good one. That's the use case here, because otherwise in the old world, you don't know that when it's going through the registers. That's right, Carrie. I see you shaking your head.
Correct. Food safety and food waste, if we stay in the food and CPG space, are the two that, I know I'm close to this and I get kind of nerdy about it, but those are the things that excite me the most on these use cases. I give the example of the peanut butter recall from a few years ago. The lot
Good
code
one.
on every jar of peanut butter somehow always seems to be printed on that crimped lid, and nobody can read that thing. And so, you know, if you've got a sensitivity or an immune system issue and you see a recall, you're like, oh, I'm throwing this away. Like, I don't even care if it's part of it or not. Safety first. You know, myself, I was like, I'm halfway through this jar of peanut butter. I haven't had any ill effects. I'm going to assume that I'm okay with it. But if you were able to scan that barcode and immediately know, is this part of the recall or not part of the recall? How do I dispose of it? Is it safe or not safe? Getting rid of that food waste element is also a huge piece of this, along with the food safety, because we don't have to go through now that kind of baby with the bathwater and throw everything out just to be safe. I did mention, you know, we're starting to also see this go in on apparel, clothing and accessories, health and beauty items, things that if you think about, you know, how do I use this? What are the potential effects of an ingredient? How do I wash this, dispose of it, recycle it? So the use cases for 2D and the more information that you can get here are really, really enormous.
Yeah, and that's important. I know